And already within the elites, you see a lot of unhappiness that there is no growth and there is no plan for growth. As I said, Russia is stagnating and there is no plan to get out of stagnation for the next 10 years.
Russia's economy struggles in silence. In this video, we'll look at the factors contributing to Russia's current predicament and explore what this means for the country's future. You see, Russia has always been a great power. It has a rich cultural heritage, a strong military, and vast natural resources. However, when it comes to the economy, Russia is struggling. In fact, if we look at the numbers, Russia's economy is one of the weakest in the world. You might be wondering if this is true. Well, let me give you some numbers to back it up. According to the World Bank, Russia's gross domestic product, GDP, was in the top 10 in the world in 2008, but since then, as per reports from the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, IMF, and Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, the Russian economy experienced a downturn in 2022, with its gross domestic product, GDP, estimated to have decreased by 2.1%.
The ruble has fallen so much for several reasons. First of all, this is a direct consequence of Russia's war against Ukraine. Western sanctions, a budget deficit of almost 3 trillion rubles, and escape of business. The fall was also accelerated by Prigozhin's rebellion. The already weak confidence of citizens in the currency was undermined even more, and those who had savings in rubles hurriedly converted them into foreign currency.
And if we look at the per capita GDP, Russia is nowhere near the top. It's barely in the top 50 in the world. So, what's going on? Why is Russia's economy struggling so much? One major reason is the lack of diversity in the Russian economy. Firstly, what is diversification? Diversification is spreading your investments across different asset classes or types of investment to minimize risk and maximize returns. In terms of country economics, diversification can be viewed as a strategy to reduce the dependence of a country's economy on a few sectors or industries. You see, countries that rely on a single export or industry are highly vulnerable to external shocks such as changes in demand, natural disasters, or political instability. Moreover, it can limit employment opportunities for the country's population. Diversification brings stability, growth, and innovation to a country's economy. For instance, a diverse economy can provide jobs in different industries, attract foreign investment, and spur innovation and competition.
Found that the strategies that were most effective to diversify an economy were dynamic, meaning that they changed at different stages of development. For economies with low levels of industrial diversity, focusing on the most related activities is good.
It also limits the risks associated with dependence on limited resources or industries. Unfortunately, not all countries have successfully implemented diversification strategies. Russia, for example, has struggled to diversify its economy beyond its reliance on oil and gas exports. What does this mean to its economy? This means that the country is vulnerable to fluctuations in global energy prices. When oil prices are high, the Russian economy is doing well. But the Russian economy suffers when prices fall, as we've seen in recent years. You see, a handful of large players dominates the global oil market, and Russia has had to compete against powerful countries with established oil and gas industries, such as the United States and Saudi Arabia. This has made it difficult for the country to diversify its economy due to the intense competition it faces in the global market. Moreover, due to Western sanctions, Russia has been isolated from the global financial system, which has made it difficult to attract foreign investors. Over the years, Russia's economy has been vulnerable to external shocks due to its dependence on oil and gas exports, which account for approximately 69.5% of its total exports. The lack of economic diversification has led to several negative consequences for Russia, such as high levels of income inequality, an overvalued currency, and a lack of entrepreneurial opportunities. Additionally, the reliance on oil and gas exports has inhibited the development of other industries, limiting the country's potential for long-term growth and innovation. As a result, Russia's economy has struggled to grow. The big question is, what steps has the Russian government taken? The Russian government has done little to encourage diversity in the economy. There has been little investment in education and research and development, R&D, which are crucial for the growth of industries that require skilled labor and innovation. This has also made Russia less attractive to foreign investors who seek countries that offer a skilled workforce. Another issue as to why Russia's economy is struggling is that Russia's economic policies are not always conducive to growth and development.
Of course, and unfortunately, the main message is challenges will be everywhere. So this country is stagnating. Has been stagnating for 10 years, and probably there will be more stagnation in the coming years. And the main challenges will be multifold. And one challenge is to restore relations with the rest of the world, to remove sanctions. The other challenge is to fight corruption.
Economic reforms have been slow to materialize, and the government has been criticized for not doing enough to create a favorable business environment. Some experts argue that this is because many of Russia's top officials are former KGB agents or military members who may not have the necessary expertise and experience to formulate effective economic policies. The third issue making Russia lag is corruption. If there's one thing that has plagued Russia for years, it is corruption. The extent of corruption in Russia is staggering. According to a 2022 report by Transparency International, Russia ranks 137 out of 180 countries in the Corruption Perception Index. This means that not only is corruption prevalent in Russia, but it is also entrenched and systemic. The effects of corruption on the Russian economy cannot be ignored. It has discouraged foreign investment. No foreign investor wants to commit their resources to a corrupt environment. This, in turn, scares investors away and hits Russia's economy hard. Corruption also stunts economic growth. The practice skews the distribution of resources, depriving small businesses of opportunities and favoring larger companies with the financial power to bribe their way through. This leads to inefficiencies and underdevelopment of the economy. Furthermore, corruption leads to a distortion of competition. Businesses that are not corrupt are driven out of the market by those that are. This means that the average citizen has to pay more for goods and services provided by companies that corrupt officials favor. But perhaps the most significant effect of corruption on Russia's economy is its impact on income inequality. At the cost of the people, those in authority benefit themselves and their families. As a result, there will be more social discontent and instability as the gap between the wealthy and the poor expands. The Russian economy also has structural problems, such as a demographic crisis and a brain drain. What does the demographic crisis in Russia mean? Well, the demographic crisis in Russia refers to a prolonged period of falling birth rates and increasing death rates. Long before the collapse of the Soviet Union, Russia's population growth rate had begun to decline. Russia has one of the fastest shrinking populations globally and is expected to lose more than 10 million people by 2050. In fact, since 1992, the year following the Soviet Union's collapse, the population has decreased by nearly 6 million, with projections suggesting the trend will continue. The population decline significantly burdens the country's economy as fewer people are contributing to the workforce and paying taxes. There is also a significant brain drain, with many young, talented Russians leaving the country to seek better opportunities elsewhere.
This is very, very important. And the other thing is the public mentality. So many Russians are still believing in this imperial narrative that Russia is encircled by enemies, and we need to fight the West, we need to fight everybody else. While Russia should become not an empire but a normal nation state, and Russia should focus on developing its own economy and quality of life for its people.
This brain drain means the country is losing its brightest minds and most capable workers, making it even more difficult for Russia's economy to recover from its collapse. Not enough skilled workers and professionals are left to support the economy's growth. So, has the government done anything? The Russian government has tried many measures, such as incentives for families with more than one child, mothers, and many other schemes to encourage population growth and retain the skilled workforce. However, it has had limited success. Lastly, Russia's infrastructure is relatively weak compared to other developed countries. One of the main problems with Russia's infrastructure is its transportation system. This has made it difficult for businesses to transport goods across the country and internationally. For example, in Russia, a large percentage of the population lives in the east, while most of the economic growth is happening in the west. This means that products from the east have to travel long distances to reach the markets in the west, and this transportation is highly unreliable. Also, the country's rail system is outdated and inadequate, a significant business hurdle. Moreover, the country is constantly experiencing water crises, another factor causing the economy to suffer. Russia is the largest country in the world, but it lacks adequate water infrastructure. As a result, portions of the country experience frequent droughts and floods, which affect the agricultural sector and other industries. These issues have contributed to a lack of investor confidence in the Russian economy. In fact, Russia ranks only 28th in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index, behind Singapore and Sweden. While the country has made some progress in recent years, much work still needs to be done to create a robust, diversified, and prosperous economy that benefits all its citizens. So, what can be done to solve these problems and improve the Russian economy? Firstly, the country needs to invest in other sectors such as technology, manufacturing, and agriculture to reduce its dependence on oil and gas. This will require significant investment from the government and the private sector, but the benefits will be enormous. A more diverse economy will be more resilient to external shocks and provide more growth and development opportunities.
And so everything will be a challenge. Russia needs human capital. Russia needs a modern education system. It's a challenge. Russia needs to upgrade its healthcare system. It's a challenge. Russia needs to upgrade its infrastructure. It's a challenge. And Russia needs to undertake green transition itself. It's a challenge. Russia is one of the most energy inefficient countries. If you improve energy efficiency, you can actually save a lot of energy. And in that sense, there are many things you can do, but all of that is going to be a challenge. Now,
personal investors like you can draw lessons from the experience of countries like Russia. As countries should not rely heavily on a single industry or asset class, investors should avoid putting their money in one stock or investment. Diversification is crucial for both countries and individual investors. For countries, it offers many job opportunities, reduces income inequality, and ensures social and political stability. And as investors, what are the benefits of diversifying your portfolio? Investing in different asset classes such as stocks, bonds, real estate, and commodities can help to spread risks across other sectors. This means that if one sector performs poorly, your portfolio is not entirely dependent on it. Additionally, investing in companies across different sectors can help to hedge against a downturn in a single industry, as not all industries perform the same way at any given time. But with so many options, how can you make the right choice? Subscribe to my channel today and gain insider knowledge on the top companies that will help ensure your financial security. Secondly, anti-corruption laws should be enacted and enforced, and those who violate them should be held accountable. This will contribute to developing a business climate that appeals to domestic and foreign investors. Government, business, and civil society must work together on this. Moreover, an independent judiciary should be established to hear cases of corruption impartially. Transparency is also vital in the fight against corruption. All transactions and contracts between companies and government officials should be open to public scrutiny. This way, citizens can hold their leaders accountable and ensure they act in their best interests. And lastly, Russia needs to invest in roads, railways, ports, and other critical infrastructure. When roads, railways, water, and power supply are improved, it can lead to a better quality of life for the citizens. With better infrastructure, the country can attract more foreign investment that can help stimulate economic growth and create more job opportunities. This will improve the competitiveness of Russian businesses in the global market and reduce logistics costs. Now, if Russia didn't invade Ukraine, could there be any difference? Could the tables have turned? If Russia had not invaded Ukraine, it might not have faced these economic sanctions and could have had a more stable economic growth rate. Russia could have utilized its resources to strengthen existing trade relationships with other countries by investing more in infrastructure to improve its infrastructure. This would have led to a sustainable economic growth rate. Moreover, Russia could have focused on reforms, especially on the diversification of its economy. This would have enabled Russia to decrease its reliance on oil and gas, the backbone of its economy, and instead invest in other sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing, and technology. Russia's economy is struggling, but the problems can be solved. With a concerted effort to diversify the economy, combat corruption, and invest in infrastructure, Russia can create a strong, resilient, and prosperous economy that benefits its citizens. The world of economics is vast and ever-changing. Watch the next video to unpack more.